know about the opening of that show. If you loving it, I get chills going through my head because every time I see my daughter standing up there with me at the Hall of Fame induction, the awesome job she did. But welcome back. If this is your first time, buckle up, just get ready for a ride. And if you're always coming back, I appreciate you. Thank you. Today is going to be absolutely amazing. Listen, I don't want to waste too much time because this person, he's now a partner. He's now somebody that, he's just freaking incredible, right? You're talking about a former UFC lightweight champion, former WEC lightweight champion. He has a black belt in 4 different forms of martial arts. That is freaking incredible, first and foremost. But without further ado, I just want to bring on, I think, one of the most dominant fighters in the game right now, Anthony Pettis. My man, what is going on? I didn't want to waste no time. I got to get right to you because we got a lot to talk about, and I need to use up every minute to talk to you. AP, what's going on, my man?
Man, I'm blessed. Can't complain.
Absolutely, bro. Look, I got to jump into this, right? You got to break this down to me. You have now mastered. You have 4 black belts. Explain all the ones you have that in.
Yeah, man. Honestly, the black belt is kind of the beginning of the journey, though. Like getting to the black belt is where you actually learn what it's all about, the mindset, the life behind the martial arts. So my first martial art was Taekwondo. My second one was kickboxing. Then I started capoeira and then jiu-jitsu. So I have 4 different martial arts, all different forms. I fell in love with the whole process of like that growth. Because once you master one, you kind of flavor one style. You find something that you like, and you're like, all right, this is what I'm gonna use because I'm good at it. But then when you go become a white belt again, man, you gotta learn everything all over again. You gotta empty that cup, and you gotta be willing to accept different versions of martial arts, if you will.
Okay, what age did you start all of this? Because there's a lot to learn, and you look like a young man.
I started Taekwondo when I was 3, and then I got my black belt. It took me a while, actually. It took me 10 years to get my black belt in Taekwondo. So it's a long process, man, and there's a lot that goes into that. It's a Korean martial arts, so I learned the whole culture of that. Then I studied Muay Thai in Thailand. I went to Brazil for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So my passion took me all over the world to see who had, I was trying to discover who had the best martial art, which one was the best for me for self-defense. And after doing my research and seeing the martial arts I've done, man, it's each one of them has a specific thing that works.
Okay. So AP, who inspired this? Where did this come from?
My mom. So I grew up with 3 brothers, right? So my older brother started Taekwondo because my mom was a single parent and she was going to college at Alverno College. It's an all-female college in Milwaukee. And our options were, while she was going to college, was ballet or Taekwondo. So of course, us being boys, we chose Taekwondo. And man, the rest was history. So we would spend every day from after school 3 hours until 9 o'clock doing Taekwondo. I would teach it, I would train, I was doing everything. I saw the business side of it. I saw everything about Taekwondo because of my mom going to school, and we just fell in love with it. Three brothers growing up. My little brother fights as well professionally. He's fighting for a world title in 2 weeks. So shout out to Sergio Pettis. Make sure you guys tune in for that. But man, it's
135 pounds, right?
Yep, 135 pounds.
Yeah. And you fight at what weight you fight at?
I fought at 170, 155, and 145, but I'm fighting at 155 for this tournament.
On this Friday?
On this Friday.
How exciting is your journey? And let me ask you this. Is there ever a place that you ever become comfortable in this journey?
Oh, most definitely. Yeah. So when I won the WC world title, I did a Showtime kick off the cage, and it kind of blew my stock up because it landed, I won a world title with it. Following that, I won the UFC world title, and I was on a Wheaties box. And man, I was on top of the world. First martial artist on a Wheaties box. Coming from the neighborhood I grew up in, from the struggle we grew up in, I made that an excuse. So I'm like, I've accomplished so much in a short period of time, and then I got comfortable. I stopped progressing. I stopped searching for better martial arts. I stopped using my nutritionists the way I was supposed to use them. And the portion size got bigger, man. I could afford an appetizer and some dinners. The meals got bigger. So that's when I got comfortable, bro. And I realized that looking at where I'm at in my career now, it's a mindset thing. You got to have a smart team around you. You got to have the right people around you to continue this journey. And I'm on a path for greatness, man. I want to become one of the first guys to ever have championships in all these organizations. So as long as those guys only have 2 championships, I got that as well. I'd be the first to have three world championships in 3 different organizations.
Bro, listen, first of all, man, listen, seriously, right? Because I know what it takes to be a champion and all of that good stuff. So you're talking about the hard work that it actually takes to put in.
Yep.
When you fight, when you're dealing with all these fighters, right? You're talking about fighters from over 20 nations, right? You're talking about all different styles of fighters, bro. Do you think about more of yourself and your execution, or do you think about their execution, or is it a little bit of both, like my game is?
Yeah, man. You know what? I early in my career, I was still obsessed with like my opponents, and then I felt myself not using all my skill sets because I'm like, oh man, this guy's good at wrestling, so I got to stay away from his wrestling or like by striking or jiu-jitsu, right? And then I would make them scarier than they are. Like Mike Tyson's coach, Cus D'Amato, has like one of the best quotes. Like when you're before a fight, you make the guy a monster. You make him like this scary nightmare, and then once you get in there and you throw the first punch, you're like, man, he's human like I am, and then everything becomes normal. So I've done it for so long now. I normalize that part of it, like where I'm like, all right, he's a good athlete. He's training just like I am. We have access to the same amount of training, nutrition. I mean, everything that goes into this. But what sets me apart is the mindset. I think, man. Like I go in there, I really believe I'm better than these guys, and I think the skill set I bring in there is different than everybody else.
Okay, so where did that? Because I have been watching too many videos of you right now. Like I'm really like obsessed with this list, your styles that you have, which is freaking incredible.
Appreciate it.
Where did the kick off the gate come from? And what do you call that kick?
It's the Showtime kick, man. No one's landed it yet in mixed martial arts history besides myself. But it actually came from when I was a kid. We would do Taekwondo demos, and I would jump off the wall and break a board. And I'm like, man, it's a cool looking move. I got a cage there. I started playing around with it in sparring, and then it just, man, it's like one of them, like, obviously when you get into that flow state, and then everything's just happening the way it's supposed to be happening, man. Like you're just on top of your game, and nothing else in the world matters. I found that state in that fight, and man, that Showtime kick just blew my stock up.
Who would you say? Who would you say in the game right now that you want to be or you want to deal with? What's that better? Like me, right? When I was playing, right? We used to always look at the schedule and say, okay, who's that team to beat in the AFC, right? To get to the next level. Who's that match for you? Is it this upcoming match, or is your vision so ego eye focused that you know that there's 2 levels, 3 levels, 4 levels? Who's that guy? Who are those people?
Man, I mean, there's so many good guys in this sport, bro, especially in my weight class. I think 155 pounds is probably the most stacked division in fighting, just because it's like the normal size of a human being, 155 pounds, 5'10", 5'11". So I think a lot of guys flock to our weight class, and there's so many good guys. I mean, you got like guys like Conor McGregor, who's done amazing things outside of like fighting. He's his brand is everything he's done besides, fighting in the octagon. But then for me, it's like the legends, man. Like even though they're not winning right now, they lost previously, but on their title runs, like Anderson Silva, when he was on his title run, unstoppable, bro. 8 fights in a row. He's 34 years old. Like no one's ever seen that kind of dominance. And that's what I've strived for, is dominance. Like showing that not getting a judge's decision that I won the fight, making sure this guy taps out or he's knocked out.
Bro, so what, in your words, when I say championship mentality to you, what comes to your thought?
Getting present. If you can get present in the current moment, man, that's what it's all about, especially in fighting, because so much stuff happens, man. Like even like my last fight, I got hit in the face and I got a bloody nose happen, and you smell that blood, and that triggers thoughts. I mean, we got 70,000 thoughts that come through our mind a day. So once that blood hit, my thoughts started running outside that octagon. I'm in different fights. I'm like fighting different battles. But now that I have this new skill set of like recognizing when my mind shifts, I can pull it back. But all right, let's get present. Let's do what I got to do to win this fight. All the stuff that happened in the past, that's not me. And being polite to myself. I think that's a championship mindset. Like when you make a mistake, you can't be a hard critic on yourself because there's no growth in that. Now you put yourself in a bad mindset. You put your in a bad frame. Your practice is really bad. So me now is like the championship mindset is being present. When I feel myself drifting, that ability to pull it back.
And listen, I got to follow up that. How much courage does it take for you to train the way you train? And then how much courage does it take for you to get in those rings night after night to do it?
Oh man, it's the scariest thing. You know, the world's watching. You know, if you make a mistake, you know, you're on YouTube, you're on World Star. You know, it's everywhere. It's not like just a match that, you know, between my gym members. So like, there's a lot at stake. My kids are watching. You know, you think about all that stuff, but I feel like once I realized that, you know, I can't control people's thoughts, I can't control their actions. All I can control is what I do. So like, I go in these fights now so clear-minded and so present, man. It feels amazing. It's the most zenful place for me out of everything.
See, this is why I ask people this, right? And it's people like yourself, AP, seriously, because that was my mindset. When I walk into the game, and before I come out that tunnel, my mind is so clear. I'm at such peace because we train to do this. But my courage of my fear of losing, that's once that light comes on, I'm like, they got to get all of me. They got to get everything of me. So when I watch you fight, I watch your presence. And because I watched it last night, bro, seriously. I watch you walking in. And as I'm watching you walk in, I'm like, oh my gosh, look at this mindset. That's a mindset. That's a mentality. But that's a lot of courage. That's a lot of courage because a lot of people don't come back from that. Why you come back every time for training the way you do? Why do you come back?
You got me hyped right now just talking about this, man. Like that feeling. And I got a question for you actually. Yeah. Like when you retired and like that feeling that you had walking out that tunnel, does that transfer to like other parts of your life, or do you have to find that? Like, is it like a natural transfer, or are you like, let me find the next thing that makes me feel that way again?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's not a natural transfer, but it is a transfer that's very available, right? And it's available in a lot of different things. And so where I use my energy at now is in cycling, right? And I get the excitement of trying to master cycling than we got going in the ring or going on the field, right? Because you got to learn it all over again, right? It's like every time you step on that bike, you got to start over, right? And that's
mindset.
That's it. And once you switch that mindset, right, it becomes a lifestyle. And you know this, right? It's like the way we're built because of what we did for so long. It's just a mindset. It's just making up your mind that I don't have another option. See, a lot of people got a lot of plan B's and C's. We don't have a plan B and C. We got a plan A, right? You're not walking in there. You're not walking in the ring and saying to yourself, oh, you know what? If I don't beat him, then I'll wait till next week. No way. I got to get this done. And that's where you transfer that even when you get off the field, off the gridiron. And when that side is done, like I have more fun now, challenging myself now, because I don't have that force in front of me, right?
Gotcha.
The only force I have in front of me now is you versus you, me versus me. And now I'm willing to, come on, man, I'm willing to go beyond the limits to test myself. I got to ask you this. Give me a little something about little bro. What makes little bro Sergio so good?
Man, you know what? And I tell everybody this. I'm my little brother's biggest fan, bro. So when my dad died, I was 16 years old. He was killed in a house robbery across the street from my house. You know, and my little brother was 10 years old. And we weren't that close growing up. We were close, but not like we are now. But when my dad died, you know, I took him under my wing, and you know, I made sure I had two choices. I'm like, man, I could either like make an excuse and make this the reason why I'm doing A, B, and C, and D, or I can use this as motivation to you know, better my family. And man, I ran with it. And my little brother followed in my footsteps. But just so the way I fight is like chaotic. I love being in the chaos. Like I force the chaos to happen, and I live in that chaos. Where he's just so structured and clean, like you would never see him make mistakes like I make mistakes because he's just so clean and structured. He stays to that mindset. So honestly, I think when it comes to the fighting, I think he's a better fighter than me. I just live in the chaos, so I do all the crazy stuff.
Really? And have you guys ever sparred? Do you guys ever spar? Y'all ever mess around? All the time.
Every Monday and Wednesday. Every Monday and Wednesday we go at it. He's honestly the only person, knock on wood, that's ever rang my bell.
Really?
really. And he's 135 pounds, man. Like I think he just knows my game and he knows my mistakes. And like I said, he's like a student of the game. He just studies and studies and like he's just so clean with his striking that he caught me walking in one time and man, I got a concussion and like it was a bad thing. I'm like, yeah, I wish that upon nobody.
So I know.
But I was happy he did it.
So I know a lot of people is wondering what I'm wondering. So when you guys are actually going against each other, you are actually hitting each other for real in the mouth.
Bro, it's a every Monday and Wednesday at our gym. It's a UFC, MMA, PFL tournament. It's all over the place. Like we have guys in UFC, Bellator, PFL. So we're all training to get each other better. And I think my coach does a great job at like we're trying to help each other out. So like in fighting, you don't have a team, but you have a support system. Like you go out there, it's all on you. But that support system has to be looking out for you to make you better, to put you in a position to win. So, we have a great culture we built.
Okay, tell me about the PFL and how excited you are to actually be a part of this league.
Oh man, so they didn't have a season last year, so like I was waiting for the season to happen, man. But like, so the format is, you have 4 fights essentially, and there's 10 guys, in your division. So right now I'm here, looking at all the guys that I'm gonna be fighting eventually this year. But it's whoever's the best is gonna become the champion in 1 year. And I love that format, man. So like, I think it makes it easier to follow. Like right now, there's so many fights, and I don't care what language you speak. I mean, you can go to the desert, you can go to Mexico, you can go to Brazil, but everybody knows what fighting is. Where like other sports, like it's soccer here, football here, basketball here, but fighting is just universal. I mean, everybody knows what fighting is. So I think when you think about this style of a tournament, there's so much to get caught up in. Like now I gotta win this fight. But if I win in the first round, I get 3 extra points. If I win in the second round, I get 2 extra points. If I win in the third, I get 1. So there's motivation in finishing the fight early. And then based on how many points you get, that puts you in your seeding for the playoffs. And then once you get to the playoffs, you got to win that fight to get to the championship. So it's kind of like the ultimate test. Like I've never went into a year and knew that I was going to fight 4 times, and I know when the fights are, and I potentially know all my opponents. So it's definitely like one of them things where you got to stay present, man. You can't let that get to your head because there's just so much to think about.
Yeah, it's like getting in the playoffs in the National Football League, right?
Yeah.
That's
once I win this belt, man. Like once I win this belt, I'm gonna make a ring though. I need a ring now because I just like this is a season format. We get belts, but I'm like, I need a ring because this is the season.
You need a ring, so I'm gonna talk about that since I'm on the leadership board, advisory board.
Tell them.
I'm gonna bring that up. My guys need rings. My AP say he needs a ring.
Change it up.
What if you had one thing to share with people on what makes you never quit? What is that?
Never quit, man. And man, I lie to say I never quit, because I have in one fight I lost due to a body shot, and I felt myself quit. And that's the motivation right there, man. Like before that, it was like, I'm unstoppable, I'm invincible. And then I went down to 145 pounds and I fought Max Holloway, another amazing fighter. Yeah. And I got caught with a body shot, and you feel yourself. I mean, you have the option. You get hit with a body shot. Like, all right, do I like try to pull through this, or do I like, man, is he putting the pressure on me? And that fight was the first time I felt quit in my life, and I never want to feel that again. That was one of the things. That's something I can never let myself get that mentally weak where I'm not in control of my thoughts.
See, listen. So it's interesting because this is why I do this, bro. Seriously, because a lot of people will never. They think that it's impossible to have this mindset in everyday life, but it's not. It's not impossible, right? You just made up your mind that you don't want to see that happen again.
Facts, man. It's a skill set. I mean, it's really a skill set. There really is A, B, and C way to get yourself into the zone, a way to get yourself into positive thinking, and it's really a choice. Like once you make that choice, like I'm gonna be in control of my perspective. I don't care what she does, he does. I can't control that, but my perspective of the relationship is all I can control. And once you like that bleeds into my personal. When it started bleeding into my personal life, when I found out about it. Man, my life is blessed, bro. I've never been in this position where I felt so clear-minded and just happy to be alive, man. Just enjoying life.
What's funny is, bro, seriously, you sound like me when I was playing. And my God, I tell you, man, I was at such a peace. I was like, I don't think people really understand what they're dealing with, and they just didn't understand it. If Anthony Pettis wants to be remembered, how do you want people to speak about you?
First of all, I think the initial thing I was like thinking, like beginning my career, was like, yo, I'll fight anybody, everybody, any weight class, don't matter. And I think I accomplished that. 100, 155, 100, like anything I could make, I fought at that weight class. And I fought some giants, 170 pounds. This part of my career, I want to be remembered as the guy who changed the game up, man. Like the guy who gave these fighters the direction to seek more and see what else is out there, and to that mindset stuff, and being kind to yourself, like making sure, like, no matter what mistakes I make, I still can bounce back because of my mindset.
And size does not matter, you're telling me.
I mean, my daughter can knock me out. The right technique.
Right now?
Right now? Man, I mean, it's just, once you understand punching.
How old is your daughter now?
My daughter's 9.
9?
So yeah. And it's not really, it's not like she's so skilled, but like, it doesn't take a lot of force to knock somebody out. You just got to hit that chin right. So like once somebody understands that concept, man, it's anything can happen.
I learned that in football, playing the game. If I get that nice shot right there,
yeah,
it's a bad day.
The little stinger, oh man,
it's a bad day. I asked you this before we started, right? Are you at the mastery level that you can actually teach these skills that you have?
Yeah. So when I was when my father died, so my passion came from teaching. So I opened up my first gym when I was 15, and I had 300 students, me and my brother. So I still own my gym, Pettis Martial Arts. We do Taekwondo, kickboxing, MMA. So I still teach actively. I think if you could teach something, then you're a true master, because then the questions come and you're like, you have to explain it, you have to work your thoughts out, you really have to know the technique if you're going to teach it to a classroom full of people. So yes, I do teach, and I think that's a huge part of the reason why I am where I am.
So if I came to you, how much would you charge me to train me?
Oh, free. All day, man. Let's do it.
All right,
come on now. I'll come to you. Let's have some fun with it.
Look, I really want to get into it, man, because I'm getting back on the mat a little bit. Wrestling was my thing. So yeah. I'm getting back on the mat, and I'm messing around with Kenny Mundy.
That's awesome, man. How long did you wrestle for?
Oh man, I wrestled my sophomore, junior, and then I became the first ever state champion at my high school at 189. Then I won Greco-Roman national and freestyle national. Yeah,
man, wrestling is such a hard sport, man. I tell everybody, if you want to build some character, put your kids in wrestling, because that's some dedication and structure right there. The weight cutting, the whole season, man. It's real structure.
Absolutely. One highlight of your career before you go. One highlight of your career that you remember the most, that you say to yourself, "I'm Anthony Pettis. I made it. I'm at the top of my game." What's the highlight? What's that one highlight of your career right now?
Oh man, I won the UFC world title in my hometown. So the arena used to be called the Bradley Center in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where the Bucks played. And I remember going there as a kid, and we'd be up in the nosebleeds, bro. And like, we could never afford to go down and see like the floor cage side and all that, well, court side at that time. But then once I went there, man, my name was in the lights. I was on the billboard. I was in the backstage in the locker room, and I'm like, I walk out. I'm like, everybody's here for me in my hometown. I won the belt so quick and easy. It was like first round, 3 minutes in. It was like it was flawless performance, man. It was one of the things, like it felt like fate, it felt like destiny, like it just had to happen.
Anthony, let me tell you something, bro. You are a blessing. I'm telling you, your story is absolutely amazing. It matches with my story, right? I had a single mom, and so all of the things that inspire you is what excites me about having this conversation with you. I look forward to working with you in the future, man. I'm talking about seriously with the company PFL. I'm really excited to be working with PFL because I get to actually talk to people like yourself, right? And when I did the first voiceover, I had fun playing with Primetime on Showtime with Anthony.
That's what's up.
Oh man. So brother, listen here. Good luck, be blessed, do your thing, be the master that you are. We'll be in touch. I cannot thank you enough for coming on, man. You are the epitome of what this sport is, and I'm looking forward to Friday.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
All right, brother. God bless you, man. Be good.
Later.
See, I think for me, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to tell my team, I'm going to have to start taking a break. Because when I talk to guys like that, I mean, I'd be ready to go work out or run into somebody, hit something. You know, I got to go.
Too, bro. I feel it. I'm like, yeah, I got to go do some media day right now. I'm like, I got to calm down a little bit.
I'm telling you, you got to calm down when you're talking to another lion like that.
Yeah.
You can see his face, man. Listen, I cannot thank Anthony enough for just joining, sharing sometimes the ups, sometimes the downs. And you know what's funny? You know, just checking in, right? He said something interesting. He said, the one thing I asked him, he said, getting hit in the mouth forever changed the way he saw the game. Just imagine that, right? When somebody, I mean, actually get hit in the ribs. Getting hit in the ribs, the first time he ever really quit. So we've all had that point. I'm telling you, I had one time in my high school career, a guy hit me so hard in my head. I said, I'm no longer running the ball ever again. I want to play the defensive side of the ball. So there are decisions that come from that. But I tell you, it's been an awesome week. I'm glad everybody's back. I'm going to jump into my co-host in a minute because I want to jump into this. I want to get you guys in and out. I want to bring on my co-host of 20 years, a brother, a friend, a partner, somebody that I love with all of my heart, the man himself. I call him Coach. Y'all may know him as Monty Sanders, but I call him Coach. And let's jump into this championship mentality. And Monty, Coach, did you hear what Anthony Pettis said about what a championship mentality is?
It was so amazing, man. Every week, man, the team No Excuses knocking it out the park with the guests, man. It just takes me back so much to the mentality that we have during our years of training, man. It's amazing. One thing I found is a common denominator, man. These people really share a lot of the principles that we've been talking about over the last few weeks. And he went right into it today, our topic, which is courage. Along this championship mentality, you're going to have to display courage. When you asked him about the biggest fight in courage, he said, it's the scariest thing ever. Like my kids and everything watching, the world is watching. So to our team that's out there today, when you're thinking about courage, I want you to think about that you can't have courage without fear. Remember on week one, we talked about in order to be a champion, you have to have a battle. Okay, you can't say I'm a champion and you're not going through nothing. It's the same way with fear. Okay, so if you don't have fear, courage has no power.
No power.
So let's change our perspectives on our journey, our championship mentality, and let's be like, kind of like how you did with the fear of losing. Let's use our fear to motivate us into where we're trying to go.
You know one thing, facts. I hate losing in anything. I am fearful of losing. That's why, look, I want us to understand this because courage is the essence. Like your life unfolds in proportion to your courage. Listen to me carefully. I'm telling you right in front of you, the bolder you become, the more clear your life becomes. The bolder you are with decisions that you need to make or things you need to do, your courage, your courage. A lot of people believe in ability. A lot of people believe in money. A lot of people believe in all of these things. But if you want to find out who you really are, it takes courage to show up and become who you really are, Coach.
I mean, sometimes you don't feel like going to work. It's going to take courage to get up and go. Every time you walked out of that locker room, into those tunnels, man, listening to the things that people would be saying and yelling, and Brian Billick talked about it years ago. Do you know how much courage it took for you to get out there and stay laser focused on the game? I remember when I left my job over 21 years ago, man, I was a manager in the bank, and I just really just walked off. I didn't know what I was going to eat. I didn't know how I was going to pay my bills the next month. I didn't know what life was going to bring to me. But if I wouldn't have took that step, and I was scared, I was fearful, but my courage overrode my fear, and I wouldn't be here today. And so for our team that's out there listening, if you got a fear of anything, maybe you're not as confident in yourself as you should be, use that fear, man, and help it fuel your courage on your championship journey.
what you just explained to me is your courage is grace under pressure. That's what your courage is. Because when you understand mercy and grace, when you understand your grace is what's under pressure. That's what courage is, right? Courage is believing what you cannot see. Courage is having enough fear. See, when I got ready, and you remember this, bro, I'm racing my best friend. This is a quick story for everybody. I'm racing my best friend. I was 16 years old, and I could not beat him for nothing. My best friend, Kwame King, I could not beat him. But I raced him over 100 times because I hate what it felt like to lose. I just hate losing. And I never forget, I asked him to race me. I said, instead of running a 40, run me in a 60. And we got out there, T, and I never forget it. That race, I got to the 40 yards, and I looked over to my right of him, and I said, it's over. I never lost him again. It wasn't because I was faster than him. It wasn't because I had something that day. It was simply because I had the courage enough to lose over 100+ times, but keep coming back.
Bad times are good times to prove courage. Okay. You know, it's hard to grow in good times.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of fear going on in our world, and we don't have to go through all that stuff. This is about championship mentality.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is, wow, embrace that fear that you may have and use it for your good. Now, I'm going to leave you with this one. Like, we always try to give you practical things to help feed your courage and help feed the principle that we're given. The one I'm going to give you today is that you need to take God with you.
Yes, sir.
You need to take the king with you.
Yes, sir.
In the Bible, it talks about when King David faced Goliath. You know, and he said, you come to me with the sword and the spear, but I come to you with the God of Israel. And so he didn't just come by himself. So as we go forward on our championship mentality, take God with you, take the Lord with you, and it'll help build up your courage. Yeah, we come from him. Yeah, now remember, nobody can give you courage. Courage is something that comes from within. But knowing who you are in God, that feeds your courage. So keep growing.
Boy, courage doesn't mean that you are not afraid. It means you don't let fear stop you. That's what you're talking about. That's why David told the king, I can't fight your fight. The king came in and gave David all of this heavy armor. And David said, I can't fight your fight because I've studied my opponent. See, sometimes your courage comes from studying your opponent. So even when your opponent may be bigger, like Goliath was, 9 feet tall, right? If you go into the Bible scripture a little bit deeper, David found out that the Goliath had a weakness. That's why Goliath, every time that he fought, he always said, come near to me, because he had a rare eye disease. So he couldn't see afar. That's why David stayed back from him. That's why David knew. Why do you think David had the courage enough to go fight that fight? He had studied his greatest weaknesses. He studied the enemy that everybody been talking about. Somebody's dealing with enemies right now. And the only reason enemy stays in your life because you don't study your enemies. They say keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. That's what courage is. Courage is being bold enough to stand up in the midst of fire and say, I'm not going to, even though I may be fearful. Every time I walked out that tunnel, I had butterflies in my stomach. And it wasn't about nobody else. It was the fear of not letting not one person down that's on my team, that's in that stadium, that's around the world, that's believing in me. That's what courage is, bro.
Hey man, you can stand against any giant out there. Let's be encouraged, team. Yes. We really could stand against any giant out there. And let's have us a great week. And when fear comes, when it sneak in, whether it's in your mind or in a real life situation, it's the same way we use pain. Take that feeling and let it propel you into your greatness. We would never have known King David if he wouldn't have killed Goliath. So don't run from your problem. Don't run from your fear. Right. Face it and be great.
I'm gonna leave them with this story, and you remember this one. I tore my tricep from the bone, and remember all of the media outlets, everything that we heard for the whole week.
Doctors too.
doubt this too. His career is over. This is the saddest thing that ever happened. And I had enough courage mixed with a little faith, a pinch of hope, and a bunch of promise. And I made up my mind that I was coming back for one last ride. And because of my courage, knowing that my arm was not 100%, the battles, the Goliaths that we had to go and deal with, Andrew Luck, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Cap, the courage without being healthy. Sometimes God will take your greatest strength away so you can apply what you've never applied. Courage. Courage. I want you to take this week and I want you to write down 4 or 5 things that you fear. Things, people that you fear. Things that got you in a place to where you're stuck, to where you can't be yourself. Because if you can't be yourself, I'm gonna tell you to have enough courage to walk away from any situation or any person that you cannot be yourself. Take this week and write down these fears. And however long you need, figure out a way to face your fears. And sometimes it's not with your greatest strength. Sometimes it's with your fear. Fear to fail. Fear not to complete what you said you was gonna complete. A lot of people, oh, he losing a step, he this and that. I tell you what I didn't lose. I didn't lose the battle. That's the fact, that the facts of life that we all have to ask ourselves. And I want every person that's listening today to ask yourself this question. What am I afraid of? What's holding me back? What's stopping me from getting that job? Coach spoke about it. He walked away from a job and God ushered him into his purpose the day we met. Think about it. Some things that you let go of, God will present to you. He says when one door closes, many other ones open. I read something this morning and we all know this. He says, I will never leave you nor forsake you. So even when you're fearful of failing, Coach said it best. Take God with you. God bless you. Thank you for joining us. I'm talking about just rounding up, right? Because these type of quick interactions is what I want people to understand. This is 5th week of what we're doing on a championship mentality. And if you listen to Anthony Pettis on what a championship mentality is, it's a mindset. It's a lifestyle. It's making up your mind to not to be afraid of fear, but not to fail because of fear. My mama hit me something. Me and mom talk every day. And I'm gonna leave you with this. She hit me something about courage. And she said, Junior, courage is the one thing God gives us an opportunity to express ourselves. That's what David did. He told the king, I can't fight your fight. Carry this for the rest of the week. No matter what fear you're facing, no matter what somebody's telling you you are or what you're not, tell them, I can't fight your fight. I must fight my fight. For every takeaway this week, I learned too many takeaways. But I learned sometimes it takes feeling pain. It takes feeling it before you're okay with pushing through it. A lot of us run around it. But sometimes when you go through life, you're being challenged. Just listen to me. Sometimes your pain brings you on the other side. And on the other side, I promise you, if you push through enough of your pain, there's glory on the other side of it. This week is about your courage. Courage enough, if you're around bullies, courage enough to either stand up to them or go the other route. Courage enough to not let no other fear keep you from achieving the things that you should achieve. God bless you. Team No Excuses, Ray Lewis Show. If you just got through listening, I say thank you, thank you, thank you. God bless you. Have an awesome week.